What's been very interesting today is that the usual suspects can't even get their heart into the normal Biden was great and Trump was horrible spin. Some are saying it more directly than others, and certainly none of the mainstream pundits are really saying this. But it it was so clearly a wake-up call to anyone who didn't understand that we're in the midst of imperial collapse. You just couldn't come away from that debate. Progressives, where it's like what Hunter Thompson said. Most smart people tend to feel queasy when the conversation turns to themes like certain death and total failure, but not me. I am comfortable with these themes. Progressives are kind of like that. We're very comfortable looking at or more comfortable than most people looking at that kind of thing. It's a big part of why we're progressives, because we've had the conviction that this was coming for a long time if we didn't change course. And now we're here. So we're probably the least surprised people in America. Let's put it that way. But I think
and at least we can take some satisfaction in the fact that we were right.
I think watching this, for a lot of people who were still kind of nursing the illusion that this is a fucked up time, but we can maybe defeat Donald Trump and then we'll get back on track as a country. I think this kind of shattered that for a lot of those people. They're not saying it in that way, but it's in the way they responded to it without the normal framework, right? Like, you couldn't really watch that and miss what it signified, which was no great nation producing these two people as vying for its leadership can be called a great nation any longer. And whatever remaining detritus of empire it may still hold in terms of wealth and projection of military power, it's not going to hold for very much longer. No nation that produced that is going to be in a position to hold power. Not its own, not power over other people, not meaningful power of any kind. And whereas, as I say, I think progressives understood that going in, I think that hit people watching that who weren't thinking that way.
Yeah, no, I think you are totally right. You could always tell, because I remember, last time I was in the tank for a candidate who made it to the general was 2012. And that first debate where it was Obama and Romney, I remember people, as the debate was going on, they weren't really complaining that Barack Obama was fucking it up. They were just expressing this like general malaise, like, oh, this is awful. Oh, the moderator. What's with the moderator? Listen, fucking Chris Wallace deserves he deserves a free dinner for life for doing that. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not a big Chris Wallace fan. I'm not a corporate media guy, obviously. But that was an impossible task, moderating that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, anyone who's criticizing Chris Wallace.
Right. I mean,
what would you have done? What would you have done? Pulled out a blackjack and gone after Trump? Right. Like, what could you feasibly have done to have controlled that situation?
Right. But my point is, like, when you start complaining about just the general tenor of the debate and you start complaining about the moderator, it signals that you are feeling very bad about how the debate's going. Now, look, I thought Biden's performance was absolutely abysmal. I mean, it was awful. It was worse than the Obama 2012 first debate against Romney. He looked like Sleepy Joe. He was ahead in the podium all the time, stammering. He didn't have any of his classic, like, corn pop moments, partly because Donald Trump didn't give him time to. Donald Trump kept interrupting him. If Donald Trump just let him talk for a little while, he may have gotten one of the classic Biden, record player things. But he didn't. He kept badgering and badgering and badgering. So Trump didn't do that well either. And the post-debate opinion polls showed that most people thought Biden had won. It's pretty consistent with the general polling. The one poll I saw was like 48-41 Biden. Right. That's basically what the polling is.
He also had a swing in the betting markets in his favor afterwards.
Oh, he did? Yeah.
He did.
See, I was actually a little surprised about that. I thought it was more or less a wash. I was struck by,
Well, it's because of where the race is. Trump needed to make something happen,
yeah,
and
but you know what?
nothing happened there that would make you change your mind if you were planning on voting for one of them.
No, but if you're a low information
Biden
voter
didn't.
tuning into this thing for the first time, I'm just saying, and like I said,
But how we have an unusually small number of those people right now.
yeah, that's true. I guess that's true.
There just are not a lot of people who haven't decided how they feel about this.
Right, right, right. That's true. It is locked in because you know
Like
what? The thing,
Biden didn't have a cognitive decline reflecting meltdown that could have changed the dynamics. And Trump, I mean, look, with Trump's base, I mean, he wasn't wrong about shooting someone on Fifth Avenue. I mean, it's hard to imagine what he could do at this point that would
sure.
make someone who's gone through the last 4 years and is still planning on voting for him change their mind. I
Well,
mean, he'd have to like pull out his dick on stage and spank it. Like, and even then, he'd probably only
yeah,
take
even
a
then,
2 to 3% hit.
right, exactly. But I mean, look, setting aside the fact that Donald Trump is a liar and that most of what he said was just blatantly untrue and an asshole in the
Yeah.
style
Mhm.
in which he did it,
Yeah.
he looked like a confident executive there, and it's interesting
Sure.
because in the 2016 debates, you could see he was nervous. You could see he knew he didn't really belong there. He's like, oh, I can't believe I won this fucking primary. Now I have to debate Hillary Clinton. He was, he got better over the last couple, but that first debate, especially, you could tell he was nervous. This one, he wasn't. This one, he looked like a guy who was defending his record and who wanted another 4 years, and he looked in control. All right. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm just saying from like a performance perspective.
I agree,
It
and
wasn't a bad performance by Trump if you consider the baked in pathologies of Donald Trump, which is
right,
liar, asshole.
right, right. If it's the kind of thing you go for, he was giving it to you.
Right, right.
Well, um, yeah, it's just that the race he needed more than that. Like I agree with you, all things being equal, if the country were kind of 50-50 about this and not sure how they felt about Donald Trump, sure, that debate might have helped him. But, it's not just what actually happens in a debate, it's the context that it happens
Sure. No,
in.
yeah, I
And
take that point.
there's this context of COVID and people being terrified for the future. And Trump needed more than what he came up with.
Yeah,
Did Joe Biden look weak? Did he look doddering? Did he look like a man who's probably going to serve a year and then we're going to have President Harris should he win? Yeah, yeah, sure. It's a question of how much you feel Donald Trump needs to be removed from office. Who's really making who's making an affirmative vote for Biden? I mean, I know two people.
right.
Two. Or it wasn't like that with Hillary.
Oh no, of course not.
Even people, a lot of people I know who had, more casually supported Bernie in the primaries. Once they locked Hillary in, I'm with her.
Right,
They were all
right.
right there. None of that went on with Biden or is going on with Biden even now.
No, and there are quite a few people who I knew who were, diehard, you know, affirmative HRC team last time who are sounding pretty cynical this time, even as
Yeah.
they stress the
Yeah.
importance of voting for Joe Biden. And so, yeah, I mean, that's all definitely coming through. Um, you know, aside from the visual, aside from just the overall tenor of it, I thought policy wise there was one segment that just totally, first of all, I did a little patron only preview yesterday where I correctly predicted, and I don't know how genius this was, this may have been easy to see coming, but that Trump was going to try and rat fuck the Democrats by basically making up that Biden is on the left, but like making up that he wants to cancel private insurance, making up that
Mhm.
he's for the Green New Deal, baiting Biden into denouncing those views, and then saying, so you just lost the left, right? He figured, I'll say that he's a socialist. My supporters don't really care what I say, so they'll take my word for it. Half the independents will believe me, half won't, whatever. And then the Democrats are, half of the Democrats will be happy when Biden, distances himself from the left, and half of the Democrats are going to feel even more depressed about voting for Joe Biden once he says, I'm not listening to Bernie Sanders. I am the Democratic Party. Oh, no, we're not canceling private. This was the thing. I mean, this is another thing about, you talk about a country in decline. You had Donald Trump saying you're going to kick 180 million people off of their private health insurance plans. Biden says, no, that's not my plan. Chris Wallace comes in. He says, well, there are people who are concerned that a public option is going to lead to socialized medicine. And Biden's retort is, the public option is only for people who are too poor to afford private insurance and people who are on Medicaid.
Which really isn't a public option.
No, it's not at all a public option.
We have Medicaid.
Right. That's what it is. So you're basically, there is no public option.
Yeah.
It's Medicaid.
Right.
And so there is no public option now, according to Joe Biden. But just take a step back. What the rest of the world must think looking in. You have a country that is in the middle of a pandemic. We've had 7 million people infected, 200,000 dead. And here we have the two presidential candidates in a pissing contest over who's going to provide worse healthcare benefits. Like, oh, no. Oh, you want socialized medicine? Oh, no, I don't want socialized medicine. I want a public option. Well, is a public option going to lead? No. Almost nobody is going to qualify for this public option. And the ones that do, we already have a public option. I mean, to call Medicaid a public option is like to call food stamps a public option for food.
Right.
It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.
Well, I mean, I think what Trump is missing here, maybe. I mean, I would say that was a pretty good call, Keaton. That was a pretty nice, subtle call. I didn't make that call. I didn't see that coming.
I could tell he was doing it all along. By saying Biden is a puppet of the radical left, he's baiting him into antagonizing the left further by saying, no, I'm not.
Yeah. I didn't see that. I actually posted something giving odds on, Biden physically threatening Trump at some point. I gave that 15-20% odds, Biden rambling incoherently, which, Biden fucked me on that.
Well, didn't Biden say something like, if this were a debate?
I gave at least once 90%. Okay, so I guess he did say that, because a friend of mine told me I was actually right in that prediction.
I thought I heard him mumble that.
He said exactly the same thing. So it must.
Okay, so that's a
exact
borderline
same word. So
threat.
It must be real.
Right.
That's exactly what he said. He said Biden at one point said, if this weren't a debate.
It was kind of under his breath, but it, we'll give you half credit.
That's
for
what he said happened. Yeah. So all right, so I called that one. Biden has been doing everything that he can to alienate the left before they ever got to that debate stage. So I don't see what he might have said that would have changed anybody's mind again.
No, that's the other thing.
Right. Between Rick Snyder, I beat the socialist, quote unquote, just last week. I mean, what was new here that would make somebody on the left all of a sudden say, holy smokes, Joe Biden is a motherfucking asshole. I had no idea.